do we want to address why I'm wearing a shirt and tie? Or do we just want to leave it as a funny mystery?
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife, Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone. I'm like,
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. But sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
Go.
Therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know?
Yes.
Okay, we're recording.
Hi everyone, this is What Do We Know? I'm Mark.
Jeff.
I'm Mike. Oh, I'm Mike. We already said this is What Do We Know?
And this is What Do We Know?
And this is What Do We Know?
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us on The Delicious Dish.
Now I'm going to show you how to paint a happy little tree.
If you do like, what's his name, Bob Ross? That would be a talent to have.
Yeah, I feel like I could do that, probably. Although the other day I felt like I could still do a cartwheel.
No.
And my wife bet me I couldn't, and I failed miserably.
So what happened when you tried?
Gravity.
That's a
Gravity
good thing to
happened.
happen.
You should have clarified to your wife, like, I didn't mean Earth.
So did you, I mean, fall forward on your head? Like, how did it happen? Because I bet you I could do one right now.
Well, I thought I could too. I was fairly convinced that I could.
I'm looking to see if I have space in this area where it would be still captured by the camera, because I'm sure I could still do one.
I'm waiting to see the carpet. I mean, not the carpet. The background collapse.
Well, that's what I'm having a. Hold on, let me zoom. Oh, that's zoomed out as much as I can zoom out, which is sad because that's not zoomed out very far now, is it?
I would love to see this.
Hold on. We're gonna make this thing happen here in a minute. Let me just make sure. You keep talking about something else while I do this.
Well, I would just like to talk about how 5 minutes ago when we were talking before this recording, we weren't sure we had enough material to record another episode. And now all of a sudden we have a grand event of Jeff trying to do a cartwheel.
Not that grand of an event. It's going to be amazing.
Okay, here we go. Commentary.
All right, he's making room.
Yeah,
leave
leave the chair in the
room. That's the
Leave the chair in the middle of the way so you can't crash into something.
I can't hear what you guys are saying anymore. My headphones are off.
I wish you quit
I
talking.
might not be able to do this. The room might not exist.
We can hear it. You
Not
just quiet
now.
down.
You said you could.
That's right. Yeah, don't make excuses. I said I could too.
This is going to be epically.
Oh, I'm so excited. So here he goes.
I kicked something. I don't know what it was, but I kicked something.
I'll give him that. That's a cartwheel. You did it.
It's really difficult to do because of the lack of room.
I disagree. I feel like I did just as good of a cartwheel, but I admitted that I failed.
I think that went well.
So Mike said he did a better one than you, Jeff.
Is what?
He said his cartwheel was better than yours.
Well, then you didn't fail that miserably. Because, yes, I will admit that I failed in that cartwheel, but
there's only one way to be sure who did better. Mike?
Damn it. I got children's toys all over the floor. Hold on, I got it.
Look how much space he has, though. Like,
all right, and I have a. Hold on. I gotta move the chair over here because I have a treadmill in this general direction that I'd rather not.
just do the cartwheel on the treadmill, then you stay in one place, right?
Yeah, turn the treadmill on just in case you fall on it.
This is so bad.
I'll set up this this line of spikes right here. I'll light this thing on fire.
All right, you guys ready for this?
Yes.
I'm not. Okay, here goes Mike. By the way, I feel like I'm at a disadvantage in dress pants and a nice shirt.
I mean, we got more
So,
space.
Mike, why are you wearing a dress pants and dress shirt and tie?
Well, it only took us 2 hours to get to this point, but I was at a wedding directly before this recording. So, all right, here we go. Cartwheel time. Oh boy.
Boom.
I think mine was better.
Yes. Nice job. Nice. But I will have to give it to Jeff as doing better than yours.
I did end up on my feet. It was just not because I went all the way to the side.
Technique-wise, Jeff not only did a cartwheel, but he also kicked something. That's
Well,
pretty
you know, in fairness, I feel like if I kept my feet like 2 feet above the ground, I could do what Jeff did too.
It's possible. It is possible. If
I was
had,
going for it though.
if I had more room, it'd be done.
You know, Mark, your turn.
That is true.
Okay. All right. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do this, but ready?
He's gonna spin his computer. Oh god, that was amazing! He did it.
Mark wins.
Yes. Oh man, it was. If I wasn't like where I'm sitting right now, I wouldn't believe that just happened. Like it was so good.
It's the beauty of this podcast. We had no clue that was going to happen 2 seconds before we started recording.
People probably think that we like video edited this stuff too to make it look like we were amazing. Because nobody could live up to that. Here, hey Mike. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm cheersing you.
Me too.
Cheers.
Sorry, timing.
So anyways.
I'm beating up your computer.
Oh, we're like 5 minutes in, and this podcast has gone way off the rails.
Yes. So my webcam is now like.
I was just gonna say.
Oh god. So what's on the docket today?
Oh, that was it, right?
That's
all we needed.
That's all we planned. That was hoping the rest would come naturally from that, but
Oh, no, let's.
Mike, you just got back from a wedding, and Jeff, you just got back from Europe. Did you stay anywhere when you went to the wedding, Mike, or did you just drive there and came back?
No. It was fairly close to home, so I was able to, just come back. Well,
Casey? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so there were a couple weird things about this wedding, and maybe they're only weird because I have 2 young kids, but the wedding started at 6 o'clock. So by the time you do the wedding, which actually starts at 6:20 or something like that, and then they do pictures. We didn't even eat dinner until 7:30. And my 2-year-old is like done with being awake by 7:45. So like it was such a weird wedding. So there were a couple things weird about this. Number one, it's very late. Like I think on average, that's kind of an unusually late starting wedding. Usually weddings start earlier. And you start the reception by like 6 o'clock or something like that.
I suppose.
Number 2, and we received like an invitation. So it's not like you could say, there was some weird stipulation on the invitation that said this. It was us and the bride and groom and one other couple that had kids there. Now, this couple is not exactly like young, like they're 33. I think she's 32. This is their second marriage for both of them. So it's not like, like if it's a 21-year-old couple or something like that, like, okay, if all their friends are 21, naturally there's not going to be that many kids there. This is not this is a couple that's just a little younger than me. So you would think there would be more kids like in the family, sort of friends, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So, again, that's probably half the reason that the wedding started so late. And it just sort of wasn't a great venue for a wedding with kids. Um, so, like, part of me wished they would have sort of put that, down like somewhere in the invitation, like there are not going to be a lot of kids there, even if they don't want to ban kids, because you've seen those, I'm sure both of you have.
Well, and that's
But
what I was about to ask. Was it did it actually make it out to be that it was a kid friendly wedding?
yeah, oh yeah, because I told them that we were gonna. They asked for RSVPs and stuff like that, and I RSVP'd four, and like they know our family. It's somebody I work with every day. Um, so it was just kind of a weird situation where it
I mean,
started late. The kids there wasn't much for the kids to do. I mean, other than dancing. Which, by the way, when we left at 7:45 or 8 o'clock or 8:15 or whatever time we got out of there, I don't even remember what it was now. Dancing hasn't even started yet. So
well, I'm confused though. Like, I've been to several weddings, and none of them are specifically kid friendly. Like, I don't think they're
my wedding was.
special. Well, maybe yours is different because I mean, you're having a wedding where you specifically, as the people being married, have kids. But most weddings I have been to, they don't make anything extra. They don't do anything extra that makes it friendlier to kids. Maybe
Well,
besides.
when I got married, Carrie and I didn't have any kids. My wife and I didn't have any kids. I had my oldest daughter, but she was 11. So when I say it was kid friendly, like I'm not even necessarily talking about geared towards her.
Pony?
Like, I mean, we had a karaoke wedding where I'm sure you guys remember the kids were up there singing karaoke and stuff. And I
I
mean,
do remember.
yeah, adults were too, but kids were up there. We also went to the dollar store and bought like $40 in glow sticks, if you remember that part, and just handing them out to all the kids. And that, you know, give a kid a glow stick on the dance floor when music is playing and they're good to go. And when the kids are good to go and they're out there running around dancing with glow sticks, then the parents are happy because they're occupied. And, it was just sort of a situation where, if, everybody was comfortable and you didn't really have to worry about it because the kids wanted to be on the dance floor with their glow sticks and everything was taken care of. However, this one was, it was in like a facility, like a banquet hall.
Hmm.
So there was, I mean, almost literally nothing for the kids to do. And again, when we left at, I believe it was like 8:15 or something like that, um, there was a DJ. However, he was playing very slow stuff like the whole time we were there. So it wasn't even something where we could get the kids out and, talk them into really dancing.
No
Um,
booty music for the kids to dance to.
well, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff is what the kids respond to. So,
So I guess 6 o'clock for a wedding. I'm assuming the wedding and reception were all at the same place.
yes. Yep.
So I mean, I've seen later weddings usually when that's the case, as opposed to them being like a 3 o'clock wedding, but then you got to move to the venue where the reception's at and all that stuff. Though dinner not being served until like 7:30.
It was at earliest 7:30. Well, and in fairness, we were the first table after the bride and grooms. So for us to get served at 7:30, by the time everybody was served, it was easily 7:45, if not 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's late from the weddings I've been to for sure.
Well, and again, um, so when you want to talk about us leaving at 8:15, they were waiting to cut the cake until after people were done eating, and they hadn't cut the cake when we left at 8:15. So it was, I mean, it was a good wedding. Don't get me wrong. Like it was a nice facility, nice food and everything like that. It was just a little on the late side,
Little
especially for, not specifying get a sitter for the kids because this is what it's going to be sort of thing.
I always sort of wonder when to leave a wedding, though. Like, sometimes I feel like I have to wait until at least the cake is cut for whatever reason. Like, nobody told me to be a proper adult. You should, when you go to a wedding, you should wait until the cake is cut before you leave. Sometimes you go to a wedding the ceremony is supposed to be what's important. So the reception should be like after I eat, I could leave.
I mean, I guess it depends on how close you are to the people that you're there for. If it's I'm there for the, third cousin in my family, I feel
Right.
I can leave whenever I want to leave. I
Unless
don't
you're
know. I don't know. Eating
Well,
around.
and for us, like, I mean, they knew we were bringing our kids, and they know our kids are young. So at 8:15 or whatever, when we left, I mean, we walked up to the bride and groom's table, and shook hands and gave hugs and stuff like that, and said, "Hey, Rachel is melting down over here." Which, by the way, it was kind of a small venue. If I had to guess, there wasn't more than like 70 people, like total at this whole thing. So, I mean, it wasn't like we were making it up. Like they could hear Rachel, kind of screaming and just being done. You'd tell she was tired. So, I mean, it wasn't something that they're gonna sitting at home right now or tomorrow, saying, "Hey, why'd they leave so early?" They knew my youngest daughter was unhappy.
Well, because like sometimes you go to a wedding and the wedding goes really long, and I know that specifically for the people involved in the marriage, like they might have to be like the woman getting married, they have to get their hair done and get outfitted. So even if it's a 6 o'clock wedding, they might have started like at 8 o'clock in the morning or earlier, getting ready for the wedding. I sometimes also feel like, oh, it's an open bar. It's 11 o'clock, and not necessarily saying I'm the last one there, but also, sometimes
The
leave
one
early.
the one thing I don't get about weddings and receptions is when they have like open bar 6
Hmm.
till 7, closed 7 to 8 for dinner, open again 8
Mhm.
o'clock. Why? Why do you have to close for that hour for dinner?
I don't understand that either, and this place did that actually. Um,
Why?
Maybe
yeah,
they only have
I don't.
one
That doesn't
caterer.
make sense to me because you want something to drink with your meal, right?
Right, you're right. And why would you start with free cocktails before? Why not just you start open bars, starts at 8 o'clock and goes to the rest of the night? Why do you open for an hour before the dinner and then you close, then you open up again? I never understood that.
Yeah, I don't get it either. It doesn't. We were talking about that very thing actually at the table that I was sitting at today. We don't get it.
While you were like, I really want a beer right now with my steak, and nope, can't have one.
And then you don't also want to be in that position. Mike, why do you have 6 beers on your table? Well, bar's closed for an hour.
Bar closed for an hour.
Well,
6 beers,
that
go go.
that wasn't me, but that was a guy at my table for sure. He,
Really?
he went up before the dinner happened and got, I think it was 5 beers.
Well, then that's what it's for. It's like who's gonna be the alcoholic that we have to watch for like around 9 o'clock. It's like, oh, that guy and that guy.
It just like
Well,
I don't even understand the concept though. Like, do they think that there's going to be a mad rush of people during dinner that are getting alcohol, and it would somehow take away from everything else that's happening?
well, the
Oh,
the
oh
only
no, I got it.
Go
Sorry,
go on, Captain Mark.
they don't want you getting up and up for the during dinner time. So maybe like there's a buffet table, whatever, but reduce traffic, or for like people cutting the cake or doing some kind of ceremony or the best man speech. They don't want people going up getting drinks. That's I think that's probably the reason why.
uh,
Hmm.
so in this particular hall, none of that would have applied. The best man and or the maid of honor, yeah, and best man gave speeches before the food. The cake would have been blocked no matter what with people in line because it was kind of at the front, like of the buffet line,
Right.
was the cake. So if you talk about blocking the cake, that was not an issue. The bar was in the very back corner of the room. So when you talk about traffic interfering with the buffet line, like they would have.
But that's this particular wedding, and I get what Mark's saying because usually this is done by caterer, and I've talked to
Well,
people
but
about it before. You have to pay extra to have them stay open for that hour during dinner.
so
Uh,
the only thing I was thinking when we were at this hall is that maybe that bartender has other responsibilities or other
Right.
job things that he's doing during that hour. I don't know what they would be because I've never worked in that industry.
You
I
have
don't,
1 hour in the middle of it's your 1 hour break for the night.
Limit.
It's like a union break.
well, I wasn't thinking a 1 hour break, but I'm thinking restock all your stuff from before dinner because people so we ate at 7:30. The wedding, quote unquote, started at 6, but people start rolling in at 5:45, something like that. So essentially, you've had people drinking for 2 hours.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe you're out of you know popular booze and things. You have to restock your liquor bottles and napkins and straws and ice and all that stuff for a half hour. Then you get a half hour break before everything starts going
And maybe the mad rush happens like at
right
the
after dinner.
before dinner, and then maybe an equal amount afterwards.
Do you know
You know?
why the mad rush happens at those times? Because you're closed on the in between. Like, so it would be more like
But
spreading it out, but
right,
no.
right, but it's like any other job. You have to work around these. You talked about breaks. You have to give this guy a break at some point, and maybe that is part of it, and the other part is restocking, or maybe there's some other job responsibility that I just don't know what it is.
Oh, weddings. I haven't been to a wedding in a long time. I know one of my friends back in Michigan, actually, she's got 6 weddings this year that she has to go to. And I remember, like, 2 years in a row, I had at least 4 weddings apiece on those 2 years in a row that I had to be at. And, God, I haven't been to a wedding
Do you miss
in
it,
a
or
while.
do you get tired of
So,
going like
I
before?
miss I have fun at weddings, but all the weddings I've been invited to since I've been out here are not local weddings. They're a wedding that's in Jamaica,
Oh,
and or it was Dominican Republic was where one of them was at. One of them was down in Louisiana. I actually went to the one that was in Louisiana. That was really cool. It was when I was in nursing school, but then none of them are here. I've actually
right.
been to one wedding since I've been out here that was here, and it wasn't even my friend. It was a friend of mine from long ago who happens to live out here. Invited me because she knew I was around and was like, "Hey, go to this wedding with me because it's in your neighborhood." And I was like, "Okay." Like that's the only wedding I've been to in this area in the last 5 years. All other weddings that I've been invited to are not here.
So let me ask you this: how much do you spend on a wedding gift?
Wait, you're supposed to buy people wedding gifts? No, I go to the registry. I don't know. It depends on how close they are to me. If they're a really good friend, $100, $200, it's fine. If they're a random like long lost cousin, $20 to
Right.
$50. Can I find something in that price range on the registry? I don't know.
So,
Well,
so that
I'm just
it's funny that Mark brought this up because we actually sort of had this conversation with this couple. Now, this is someone who works in my department. I see this person every day, like, and we're fairly good friends. Like, I've been over to his house, he's been to my house. Our kids know each other, stuff like that. Um, However, it's his second marriage, and he has 2 kids from his previous marriage. The woman he's marrying, it's her second marriage. She has 2 kids from her previous marriage. They have a house together. They lived together for many years. In fact, they have a 2.5-year-old that is theirs. They've been together that long. It's their
they
child.
didn't kidnap
So
it.
so they don't need when a young couple gets married or something, they need all house goods because they're about to move in with each other stuff. Well, both of them have had houses previous and now they own a house together. Well, I guess they probably can't own a house together legally until they get married. I don't really know how that works, I guess, but they've been in the same house for a long time. They don't need a toaster, you know what I mean? So it was like for a second marriage already established, like, what do you give that person?
And so, what did you give
We gave him $50.
them?
Just
Well,
cash. Didn't even go to the registry.
They didn't have a registry. They don't need stuff.
so the reason why I ask, because of course I know the answer to your like how much you usually give at a wedding gift. So in Japan it's different. I went to my friend Patrick's wedding, which was a really great venue. It was a really nice wedding, but I gave the traditional amount as a guest to a wedding, which is $300. So I gave my friend Patrick $300 to basically attend his wedding, and it has, people usually give somewhere between maybe $150 to $500 or more for going to the wedding as a wedding gift. And the reason, I think, sort of the thought behind that is a lot of this money goes into basically paying for the wedding and or helping them start their lives together. And I sort of think that's probably better. Now, I don't know about $300 for every wedding that I attend, but people who have weddings, they go thousands of dollars sometimes in debt, like with the wedding ring and the cost of the ceremony and stuff. And then sure, they have a toaster, but even if you just break even on a wedding, that's probably a better start than starting several $1,000s in debt.
Well, and in fairness, this is a guy who, like I said, I work with, and there have been recent opportunities for extra hours in our department that normally I would have taken that I gave him because he asked for them to help with the wedding and stuff like that. So I mean, essentially, when you talk about the hours I've given him, like,
so what did you actually give him for a wedding gift? Work, lots of work.
I would have gladly taken it.
Well, like less time spending planning for the wedding. That's really my gift to him.
Yeah, and that's a whole thing in and of itself.
But I'm trying to think, like, if the purpose of a wedding and tradition was to try to break even with what you get, why have an extravagant wedding?
Yeah,
well, I mean, that it's counterintuitive if it's. I don't agree with the Japanese culture in this case, apparently, like, and what you guys normally are doing out there.
I don't think it's necessarily break even. In fact, sometimes I even heard about weddings where the couple actually make money from the wedding, but I don't think it's initially for paying off the wedding or whatever. It just sort of has become this tradition. But ideally, I think, is to basically help send off a married couple and start off their life together. Just like the reason why we give out toasters and plates and whatever, but they just use a more monetary form of it.
But if you're using a monetary form of it, why spend the money on a wedding? If that's what your purpose of having a wedding is, then just don't have a wedding.
Because people are going to give you $300 just to say.
Well, sometimes they do for like graduations. People graduate, you're the grandparents and stuff send money toward graduation gifts. Like that, for some reason, is a tradition here in America.
Well, I mean, they also probably want their family and friends to help celebrate, their joining together.
What's more important, the celebration or the money? Make a choice. Come on, Japan.
No, you can have both, because you can have like a backyard wedding or something like that.
That's
We've
true.
been to those, and those are very nice. And you don't have to spend a ton of money on stuff like that.
I don't think you could have one of those here in DC.
And frankly, like our wedding, you guys were both at our wedding, and we didn't spend much money. We really didn't.
And your wedding was great.
Yeah, it turned out great. And we knew, I mean, they were basically friends that did pretty much everything at that wedding. I mean, the cake was a friend. The DJ might have been the most expensive thing. And it was just sort of somebody we just sort of knew, secondhand, that kind of thing.
The most surprising wedding that I think that I went to was Paul's. And I don't know, Mike, were you at Paul's wedding?
Mm.
I know Mark was, you were there, and I thought it was going to be such a disaster, but it was like one of the most fun weddings I've ever been to, like in his backyard. It was the what?
But also fun. I said Cody's was a disaster, but also really fun.
I did. Oh, Cody's. No, I went to Cody's. I didn't go to. I thought you said Courtney at first. I didn't go to Courtney's wedding.
Yeah, but like there were people. I think you were one of them on top of a roof.
Yes, I was. I was on top of a roof. That was cool. Because I mean, that was done in a whole different way. It was done outdoors at they rented a normal outdoor picnic area. And I mean, it was cool for what it was. There was horseshoe pits. Like we had fun, like doing things like that. But it was literally it felt like, McDonald's also threw a party at like the same place and was very, very similar as well. So it did not feel like a wedding
A
party was
traditional
happening
wedding.
there, but it was fun. I mean, but it was also fun because of the people who were there. We made it fun. Like, had we not been there doing stupid stuff like getting on the roof and dancing on the roof of this like this awning, it would have been quite boring because not much else was happening. So
Right.
we kept
Well,
it entertaining.
but I mean, I've been to like a lot of fancy weddings, like my uncles and his kids. They have it at Warwick, so they're really fancy weddings, and I find them traditionally very boring. So
A lot of times they are actually. So my wife is a singer, and so from time to time she gets paid to sing at weddings. And we
you married
actually
a wedding
went,
singer?
well, just sort of on the side. But one of her, I think it was her cousin, if I'm not mistaken, had got married up in Traverse City, and they paid Carrie to sing. Number one, they paid for a room. Um, and it was a very nice wedding. When you talk about nice weddings, it was right on Traverse Bay in Michigan, which is a really nice vacation kind of destination. The hotel was right on the water. The
I bet you it was at the same venue that I went to the destination wedding up there.
it could be. It was a very nice place. The reception was right. It literally, they had a dance floor and they had doors on the back of the glass. It was a whole glass wall on the back of the dance floor, and if you walked out there, you were right on a dock that was right on the bay.
Yes, was there like a little maze that you could walk around to, or not really a maze, but it was like this garden walk on the premises because there was like eight
Yeah,
different wedding
yeah,
places there, right?
yeah. There was.
Yes,
Yep,
it
there
was
was.
we went to the same place. That was Julia and I's first like major date. So
Really nice.
I took her out there.
Very
It was really awesome. Yeah.
very nice place, and they paid a lot of money for this wedding. You could tell. Um, but it's just it comes down to the number one, the mix of people is important. Um, and like I think a lot of it is sort of the music you play and just sort of like the whole set theme of the wedding. Like there's so many things that go into whether a wedding is a good time or not. Now, don't get me wrong, Carrie and I had a good time. This was pre-kids, so we had a hotel on Traverse Bay, and
It didn't exist back then.
yeah, an open bar, and whatever. We had a decent enough time, but it was still just like the atmosphere was just a little bit off. Like if that makes sense. There's some weddings you go to that are just like fun from the word go.
Mm.
Right.
This was not one of them, and they spent a lot of money. I don't know what the final bill was, but I know it was not a cheap way. They handed out Cuban cigars to
Wow.
everyone there.
Hmm.
Like they spent a lot of money on this wedding, and it still, it was fun, but it was okay, you know. So I don't know. Anyways, that's why I'm wearing a tie on the podcast.
Today was the story of Mike's tie.
That's right. Story of my tie. Can I take it off now?
No, you have to wear it for the rest of your life.
All right. Tie's gone.
Tie, sort of. Tie exists, but not in the same way.
Well, I don't want to throw it on the floor.
Though I do like the sleeves. I get made fun of at work all the time because I'll be wearing a shirt and tie, but the sleeves rolled on up because I can't stand sleeves, man. I can't
Do
stand
you do
them.
the professional roll up?
Depends on the.
And then half
I don't
again.
know if mine are
Depends.
professional or
No, you're just simple roll up.
not. But no, it's the first hot day we've had like practically all summer here in Michigan. So,
What?
Yeah.
Same
Oh,
thing
yeah.
with me in Japan. I just this week it just got hot.
It's been
Yeah,
hot
it's
as
been
shit in
very
DC for like forever.
Oh.
And when I was just in London, it was the hottest day on record for the last 13 years that they've had, and nobody has air conditioning in London because it's never normally hot.
But they probably all love the weather.
Oh God, it was brutal. It was so brutal, and it's so brutal now. It's like 95 degrees out there right now, and it's dark. It's nighttime.
Oh no, it was like 86 or
And that's
something
the
today.
hottest day?
It really it's rained and been overcast and chilly. Okay, so like less than a week ago, I was golfing in long sleeve shirts because it was cold. It was like a high of 67 or something that day. And in the night, by the way, it went into the 50s overnight.
I'm jealous. My air
It was
conditioning
cold.
has been running
Oh,
nonstop for 2 months.
you're not jealous because we've had like no summer. It's rained like 4 days out of every week
Don't
here.
need
And,
summer. Give me a
oh,
snowboard all times of the year. I'd be happy.
move to Alaska then. I don't want to hear it. I want 80-degree summer days is what I
I'd be
want.
okay with 80-degree summer days. I would also be okay with those. But 95-degree summer days? No thank you.
I'll
No
strip
way.
naked, run around my backyard. I'll be good.
Neighbors will be so excited.
On that note, let's
Yeah.
end this, guys.
Yes. All right. Thanks for
I
listening,
don't-
everyone.
See you guys next week.
I don't know where we can go from there. So,
See you guys
all right,
next
guys,
week.
take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.